All right, guys, what's going on? How's everyone doing today? Hopefully, you're well. We are getting close. I'm looking at the calendar right now. It is Thursday, August 6th, 10:15 a.m. here in Sydney, Australia. We have the Zuffa card to talk about. We have the MVP card to talk about. We have the UFC to talk about. I'm going to stay on for a while. The New Zealand card is first. So, for everybody in our Discord, we streamed the New Zealand card last week, the midweek card. And so I'm leaning on our group. I'm leaning on the JSB insiders. I'm sure somebody will be streaming the David Nika versus Floyd Mason card, because if you're in Australia, you use Sportsbet. The whole card is being offered. The Thornberry fight, and the odds are looking pretty decent. So I know we have a lot of Kiwis in our group. Um, I'll send a message in our Discord about the New Zealand card: Thornberry versus Meltius, Massan versus Siaki, Parker versus Charlempu, Leopai versus Foso, Yama versus Messina. And then the only fight so far I have action on is David Nika. I got Nika on the money line on one parlay, and I have Nika on a prop bet. I'm playing the stoppage. So we'll see how that goes. Wherever you are in the world, as you're tapping in, like this video. If you're not in our Discord, join now. We're approaching 600 VIPs. It's a couple bucks to join. You can either join on YouTube or Patreon. That link is on the screen, and that link will remain pinned in our chat. If you are in the Patreon and you're an insider and you're not in the Discord, DM me now. And if you're a YouTube JSB insider here, you're a VIP and you're not in the Discord, send me an email now and I'll send you the link. We stream all the fights. It's a professional betting academy. It's not just boxing. Boxing is just my wheelhouse. Every sport from MMA to golf. We have American football starting soon, college football starting soon. I make college football is one of my go-tos, to be fair. So I'm looking forward to that. Go Buckeyes. And we'll get this thing started. If any of the VIPs, any of the JSB insiders want to come on this live stream and chop it up and give your reads, I know we have some, very, very well educated MMA guys in here, and then obviously boxing. So let me know. I'll let it ride for the first 15 to 20. And then if you guys want to come on, you're more than welcome to. So this is our book, and we'll get into the book in a second. I'll say what's up to the chat. Mike from Melbourne, what's up, buddy? Sup, Johnny? New fight added to the UFC card: Canuto versus Ford, grappler versus striker. Canuto via sub, no odds yet. Azim plus 112, good parlay builder. Shane McGowan, great matchups. Nice, brother. Yeah, right now, guys, check your tickets, including our long parlay. Including that, you should have 5 tickets from myself. I might not. I might do one more. I might not. I have a UFC dog that you guys have. I think I've done a. So the tickets, you have the boxing prop, which is plus 244. My UFC dog is plus 118. I have a money line double on the MVP card, plus 156. And then I have a boxing quad on the money line, plus 132. And then our quarterly parlay, we just need McKenna on the quarterly parlay. That was June, July, and August. That's paying plus 538. That is a 12-legger. If McKenna gets it done, that'll be 2 quarters in a row where we've hit our quarterly parlay. So hopefully you're playing along. So there's 4 live tickets, 5 in total. I'm still torn. I might play the Callum Simpson fight. I might not. I might do a UFC parlay. I might not. You should be up. We're on a roll. The boys, our team, you should be saving money. You should be, stacking your bankroll. So this is one of those weeks I'm not really necessarily in a rush to put a lot of money down. I know a lot of you guys are getting excited about a lot of the boxing fights in terms of seeing dogs. I don't really actually see a lot of dogs, actually, but I'm hearing there's going to be a lot of upsets. So if anybody wants to sell me on the upsets, I think you guys are. There's a couple fighters I feel are being super disrespected that I don't see that are going to lose. That people are saying are going to lose. So I'm the type of guy that I'm always playing dogs in boxing, but I'm not one to force them. So yeah, that's where I stand. Staying away from the betting perspective, but interested how Asplan and Pat plays out. Couldn't be too more. Yeah, guys, there's a lot of parity in the UFC. From a betting perspective, the UFC is an extremely volatile betting market. Just keep that in mind. Retro says Troy Williams by knockout, Callum Walsh points, Aaron McKenna points, Gamrot money line for money line all in one ticket. I have similar plays on separate tickets. I don't have action on Troy Williams. I mean, super middleweight, 168 pounds. Coaching change for Callum Simpson. Troy Williams being the smaller guy. Troy Williams being in his mid-30s. I got to be honest. If I were to make a play right now, it would probably be Callum Simpson on the money line, but that's not official. J Knows Boxing. Callum Simpson will go. Didn't even know he said this. Callum Simpson will get the job done. Williamson might get stopped. Yeah, I think if somebody were like, hey, gun to my head, you have to pick a winner, I would probably lean Simpson on the money line. But like I said, as of now, I'm not betting that fight. I might throw Simpson on a Teo fight parlay. Yeah, see, Teo versus Raleigh. That's another one that I feel we can make a lot of money on. I'm not sold on Teo beating Raleigh. You guys know that. We'll get there. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Can Simpson make the weight still? Doesn't. Yeah, Simpson's massive, bro. Simpson looks like he should be a light heavyweight making 175. It's for me, the weight is an issue, but also his fight style. Like, you could box. What the kid. What I've been told is that there's been a coaching change and that he's been working on in camp managing the spurts, not just sprinting, managing the gas tank, and actually boxing rather than just slugging out. Because we saw he was doing well until he wasn't, until he fell off a cliff. He gets dropped 4 times in the 10th by a guy who, a smaller Troy Williamson, an old Troy Williamson. Yeah, it was that fight still, is, as you can tell, has left a bad taste in my mouth. So that's why I'm not so quick to bet on it. What's up, Roha? King, holla. Morning, brother. Thoughts on Simpson versus Troy? Yeah, we've been talking all week, Christos. I got burned in that first fight. I tend to avoid rematches in terms of a betting perspective. As of late, we saw the Gavin Gwynn, Cameron Vong rematch that one close fights. One ended in a draw. One ended in a decision win. You just especially domestic British or just forget any sort of rematches in boxing. For me, from a betting perspective, I don't get too excited about. Like, it's not like when I saw Simpson versus Troy again, I was like, oh hell yeah. I actually was like, what are we doing? Same thing with Nathan Heaney Warburton too. I'm like, oh god, what are we doing? So I just strategically, when I say what are we doing, I get that they sell tickets. I know about Heaney. Obviously, I know boxing. I know what he means to the domestic scene, and it's his farewell fight, and I get all that. When I say what are we doing, I mean from a betting perspective. For me personally. So, especially if I got the first fight wrong, I usually don't bet the set. I got both of those fights. Like, I picked Callum in the first fight, got it wrong. In the rematch, I'm like, I'm not betting it. Nathan Heaney Warburton. I picked Heaney. Heaney beats Denzel Bentley. Warburton looks like a guy who struggles to tie his shoes against Kieran Conway. And then in the Warburton Heaney fight, Heaney looks like he can't walk, let alone box. He was that stiff. So I'm not betting that rematch. So it's just, we all have our own strategies. I still have a bad taste in my mouth if you couldn't tell from those fights. I don't forget, dude. As a bettor who as you guys similar, you guys know, you win a lot. When we win, it's expected. I really don't, when I win and I withdraw and I put it in my bank account, it's expected. So I don't necessarily talk about my wins, as you can tell. Robinson gets stopped or loses on points. Look, Auntie Des won me. She was the back end of a parlay I hit in June, the biggest parlay I've ever hit, almost 500 to 1 odds. And so I know I always talk about there should be no allegiances in betting, and I'm not taking Des to win. I have Tam winning. But I have Tam on the money line winning. And Des has never been stopped. She's the more seasoned pro. She's competitive. She has all the belts. The only lady I tend to play a knockout prop on, and you guys know this, is Gabby Fundora. Only because she's one of the only ladies I've won multiple knockout prop tickets on. So I play the patterns. Auntie Des, Tam on the money line is a 32% return. I know people are saying she's going to storm right through Des, but I don't know, man. Des is durable. She's not going to be as big, but she could fight at range. They're both kind of stiff. They both kind of get hit a lot. We'll see. You know, Des. If you're Auntie Des, you want to take Tam in the later rounds. You want to see how she handles, in her fourth pro fight, fighting a woman who's a legit seasoned pro. I would probably say Tam on points, but I don't have action on that. I do have a female prop. I do have that I'm playing is. Or maybe I'm not playing any I'm not playing any female props at this time. Right now, I have Shanika Johnson and Tam on the money line, paying plus money. That is the only action I have currently on the females. And the only props I'm playing currently right now is that David Nika by knockout and Aaron McKenna on points as a prop double, and that pays plus 244. Getting a Shadesha false alarm gorilla tried it. Some people even bit the bait. I know. I'm not. Barium, you know the game that we play. In this game that we do our best, our moderators in our Discord, shout out to Gil. There's a couple others. And the healthiness of our Discord speaks to that. But there are a few guys who've been there for a while, and you just got to know how to take them. And I don't know if Gorilla was trolling, but some people like to be. It's exciting to find, and I'm actually going to shout out Gorilla here, even though I disagree with him. He's doing the research at least. Each person, you either take the research that is being presented, you take it with a grain of salt, or you listen to it and you change your bet. I appreciate his effort. He did. It wasn't just one of these out of left field. Tam's going to lose. He at least provided links, and he provided. I didn't know that Tam was DQ'd in an amateur fight in China, so I didn't know that. So if anything, shout out to Gorilla for a drop of knowledge. I disagree with his take. I think that Tam is going to beat Auntie Des, and just like you, I agree with the false alarm. Will you do a live with 3D? Not on my look. I don't, guys. I don't really plan to do lives with anybody. I don't reach out. It's not kind of my. I only do lives for you guys. So how do I? It's hard to explain. When I go live with Paulie, when I go live with Tommy, we're in a chat group together, and Paulie was just down here in Sydney. I talk to Tom. I talk to those guys every day, sharing tickets, and it's a bit different. Because I have another, like, I run a full-time coaching business, both online and from my house, my gym here in Sydney. I have to have a very strict schedule. I can't just drop of the dime go live when people randomly ask. But yeah, I didn't plan on going live with 3D. I think Des has a good chance because of her last fight. She's a real pro. Des won me money in her last fight for sure. What's up, John? Callum Simpson, Aaron McKenna, Des, and Shanika four-leg. Wow. So a lot of people like Auntie Des. I just think that Tam T-Ball is going to be too sharp. She's going to be too big. She's going to push the pace. I think Des gets hit a bit too much. And I'm not going to say I believe the hype in Tam T-Ball, but there's a lot of hype around her. And I think this matchup in her fourth pro fight, getting an opportunity for the belts, I think she's just going to get better with each professional fight. And I think this is a good matchup for Tam to look good. What's good, bro? Alone, catching live, Johnny. What's up, Rez? Beast. All right, Jay. Since Jay brings up, let's look at the odds real quick on Callum. Boys, I knew I was going to be baited into betting on this fight. I talk all this bullshit. I talk all this shit about not betting on Callum Simpson and Troy. I'm still not betting on him, but I might bet. I don't know yet. Because I'm kind of selling myself on Callum a bit. Because I watched the first one. We were scoring the first one in our Discord. I taped the first one. I know these guys. I don't have to watch more tape. You should know the logistics of the matchup. You should know how the first fight went. But my own ego, my bitterness, my lessons from loss were like, don't bet on the second one. Callum Simpson, I left thousands of dollars on that first fight. He burned a lot of us. So, what do they say? You get burned once, that's your fault. Burned twice, you're an idiot. Something like that. Could you imagine if I do bet on this? And we'll see. Let's look at the odds. Let's look at the odds, Jay. Guys, I was taping Joe Ward. I I know a lot of people are picking Kasparian to beat Joe Ward. I think Joe Ward is in a good spot here, by the way. I think he's healthy, he's big, he's only 31. Dude, Joe Ward was a very highly touted guy with a lot of skills. He loses his let me speak on it. Joe Ward loses his pro debut because of a knee injury. And he 2 rounds in, he hurts his knee, can't go on, loses because of that. And then 3 fights later, fights the guy and gets his get back, right? And then I'm pretty sure he hasn't lost since. Promotional sort of issues, hasn't really been active, 2 years off. People are just now he gets a big feature fight, signs with Zuffa, marketed. This is one of these guys who had a lot of hype behind him, wasn't getting any spots, and now he gets this spot in Ireland on a Zuffa card, on his boy Callum Walsh's card, and people just think I think Joe Ward is in a good spot to beat Kasparian. I know people like Kasparian's shiny record and his style, but I think I currently don't have action on that fight. But don't be surprised in our Discord if I give you a sneaky Joe Ward parlay, because from what I'm seeing at Kasparian, Joe Ward has more skills. That's all I'm gonna say. And I've heard a lot of Joe Ward people just acting like Kasparian's gonna run through him. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I think people are just kind of forgetting about the potential this guy and he's not that old, dude. Just turned 31. Okay, this is Troy versus Callum. Jay says play the stoppage. Wow. I could get behind a plus 500, Jay. I that's the type of bet I could get behind. If I were to play Callum, I would get behind the plus 500. I would. Just because the odds, and I'll sprinkle a little half unit. But I'm not saying I'm going to. That just kind of shows you, and Julius, I guarantee if Julius was on the live right now, he would give us some trends. He would talk about, betting on favorites who are in their mid-30s. He would talk about, coming up a few weight classes, and Troy kind of overperforming in that first one, kind of doing his media rounds. We'll see. I don't know. I could be spoken into it. Agree, not much dogs this week in boxing. Check out Mayeli Flores, recently signed to MVP and gave a good account of herself against Ellie Scotty. Is Mayeli Flores the Tortina? Is she the one who fought Ellie at York Hall? And for a while, we thought our parlays were going to be burned because is she the little small tornado tortellini? Or am I tripping? Who is that girl who fought in the UK? And I was thinking to myself, this girl got an engine. She was like a 4'3" torta, but amazing gas tank, super awkward. Is that Mayeli Flores? Because if that is Flores, I agree. What up, youngin? What's up, Moonshot? The Danish girl she's fighting has never fought outside of Denmark or versus world-class competition. No distance, Simpson, Williamson. So, Jay, no distance. Let's see what that one pays. Will the fight go the distance? Okay. Guys, if you... See, I'm going to get talked into this shit. You guys know me. You don't have to twist my arm. I was the friend in college who had a test tomorrow, and all day in our dorm or in my apartment, I told you boys I wasn't going out. I'm studying for my test. You guys go out without me. And then as it gets closer, you boys start pre-gaming. The shots start coming out. As it gets closer to going to the bars, guess who would go out every time? Guess who said he wouldn't go out every time? So I have a history of being talked into things. I do, Jay, I do like that prop. Will the fight go the distance? No, plus 115. I could definitely, I might play that prop. I might actually, fucking Jay. You're lucky you're a sniper, bro. I'm like 90% close to being spoken into this. Who do you have in Dez versus Tam? I have Tam on the money line on one parlay. I have a double right now, and I got Tam at $1.34. I paired Tam on the money line at $1.34 with Shanika at $1.88, and that pays us plus 135. So I'm doing a double. All if you're new to the show, guys, I give away our boys all plus tickets. So I'm always looking for whether it's a dog at plus money, obviously, or a sneaky money line double. Or this week we have a quad that pays plus 185. That's probably the one I like the most for the JSB Insiders, is actually the first one I posted. It's the 4-leg boxing quad. It pays like plus, I think, 185. We're doubling our money with everything we do. Callum Walsh, I low key like on points. I think so too. I don't think I actually don't think Callum stops Tyler. Tyler, this is a guy who's been in the ring with really good guys. He knows how to operate a fight. Callum Walsh, it just depends on how you view him. I don't view Callum as this big puncher. I don't view Callum even as a world champion. I don't think Callum Walsh will be a world champion. Not supposed to sound controversial, just from what I've seen. Maybe he could level up. We have seen that in instances. We've seen guys who in their mid-20s look a certain way, and then a few fights later, you're like, holy shit, that kid leveled up. And it's always great to see. And no shade on Callum. It's just I've watched him since, I told this story yesterday. UFC Fight Pass over the last 5 years has been force feeding us Callum Walsh, the Long Beach, California Hollywood Fight Nights promo. So I've been watching him for a while. It's just there's nothing about him that I see that would be like, all right, this kid will be a world champion. So in Tyler Denny, he's not a puncher. He doesn't get stopped a lot. He's awkward. I have Walsh on the money line on one ticket. That's all I'm saying. What do you think of Stephen McKenna, Aaron McKenna's little brother? It's a good spot for him. I think he's going to be like a 4-1 favorite. If Stephen was a little bit more skilled, the thing about Stephen McKenna is when you watch his brother Aaron, everything that when you study Aaron, everything that you'll like that you see on tape, from the optics of how he fights, his posturing, to his technique, to his versatile punch selection, to his body punching, to his feet. I love how Aaron slides in and out of range. Everything you love about Aaron, Steven fights the same. When I think of Steven, I think of an aggressive guy who he just doesn't have the same gifts. He's not as technical. He doesn't do anything as nearly as good as his brother. But the thing he is he's brave in there and he's determined in there. And he's in a spot here. He's in a spot here to get the dub and look good. Yeah, he's fighting an O'Neal. It just depends, Mosby, on your bankroll. I don't know your strategy, bro. I know you've been part of our squad for a while, but like me personally, anything usually under $1.10, at least now, I tend to avoid putting on a parlay. But look, if I was building a parlay and I needed to find plus money and I was at like 92%, you know what I'm saying? I have a 3-leg, it's 92%, and I would add McKenna to it. But it just depends on your bank. He's gonna get the dub. He's gonna win that fight. And as you can tell, I just looked. We're not getting props. Teo Raleigh, low-key a tough fight to bet. Yes, that's going to be a fun fight to bet, though, in our group. It's going to be a fun fight online. for me, from what I do, from this perspective, these are the fights I live for. I lived for Zoo versus Spence. I lived for Bakr Murtazawa versus Josh Kelly. I lived for Arnold Barbosa Jr. versus Ken Sims Jr. I lived for last week William Zepeda versus Roach. Why? Because when I do my breakdowns and I put my face on the screen and I tell you the non-popular pick and I just tell you how I see it, I love all the trolls who come around. And I'm a petty, petty bitch at times. I can be a petty because afterwards, I tell you guys in the breakdown, right after my Stats Done Live videos, watch all my breakdowns. The last thing I say is, this is not an echo chamber. In the comment section below, if you don't agree with me, tell me who's going to win. And after the fight, we'll circle the wagons and we'll revisit this. And so afterwards, in those big fights, those fights that separate the internet, the trolls come out. I happen to do my best work in those fights strategically. Like look at the receipts from a betting perspective. And so after we win, I always go back in the comments and I just go after all the trolls and I just type dummy, 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 dummy. Because the trolls could be mean. And you know, Raleigh versus Teo, we'll see how. I don't expect Raleigh versus Teo to be that toxic with the casuals. Definitely not as toxic as Zoo versus Spence. That shit was insane. Or even Roach versus Zepeda. But, you know, I do like Raleigh in this spot. I do. I got to be honest with you. I I like Raleigh's size. I like his confidence. I like where he's trending. I don't like what Teo's look like as of late. I don't like Teo going to 147. In my opinion, the best version of Teo was, you know, in his early 20s, that twitchy, reflex, athletic, real fast, explosive guy. When I watch, he's not that guy anymore. And what can we expect from after getting literally embarrassed on the world stage in front of his peers and in front of everybody against Shakur? Um, so I think people really underestimate Raleigh's hand speed. I think they underestimate his power. One of my favorite things about Raleigh, like I talk about, is his feet, his foundation, his balance, his power. He has sneaky timing, and I I think he really revels in the fact of being the underdog. Like this guy is one of these guys that, you know, some guys can fight up to their potential, some guys fight down to the potential. Historically, what I'm seeing, I see Raleigh as a guy who fights up to his potential as of late, and I see Teo who fights down. So we'll see. Quillen, Asplin, Tynero, Jesse Rojas. Let's go. I think Gamrot is gonna beat Quillen though, and I think Miles Johns will beat Rosas. But good luck on that. Who do you have in Shernika Johnson? The MVP card. I have Shernika Johnson. I'll show you the odds real quick. I think I like Shanika's size. I like her style against Dina. I think Dina, if Dina wanted to fight at range, I think Dina's best bet is to stay at range, but Dina's a dog and she likes to fight on the inside. She has her guard isn't as technical as Shanika. The one thing about Shanika is, you know, she's not the best inside body puncher, but she at least keeps that high guard here. And when you watch Dina's tape, her hands are kind of low and she's a little bit wide here. I think Dina's much better at space. I think Dina will have the hand speed advantage. It's just, I can't bet against Shanika's durability. I can't bet against her cardio, her strength and conditioning, her pace, her output, her volume, and the optics of what this will look like. And I think Shanika being an inch and a half taller, I posted the photo. We'll see. You know, Shanika's always going to steal the show at the weigh-ins for obvious reasons. But I posted the photo of them doing their face-off, and you can see the size difference. And so, and then, you know, points that we should mention about Dina. Yes, she has that shiny undefeated record. Doesn't really have much on the resume. Hasn't really traveled much out of Denmark. It should be mentioned in the last 18 months, she had to, heartbreakingly so, she had a miscarriage. She spoke about this. She has had a fight since then, but with a miscarriage, there is physical rehabilitation that has to happen, medical procedures. There's obviously psychological rehabilitation that has to happen. It's something that is, you know, unfortunately part of the human experience. And as a professional athlete, you know, as a woman, I couldn't imagine going through that. And then just this week, one of her sparring partners that she brought in, of a girl who fought at world levels, who was ranked, I think she might have the interim belt. She fought Sky Nicholson for the world title and lost. She's in a medically induced coma right now. Right now. And I found that out on Dina's page. She shared it. And so you got to, I think the hill is a little bit steeper to climb for Dina. I know she's a popular bet right now. Even when I watch the tape, I really like, you know, it's hard for me to bet against the Kiwi. Shanika Johnson, she's always going to come in shape. Her strength and conditioning should be studied. This girl lives in the gym. She's a lifelong fighter. I think you could find footage. You could find footage of Sugar Neeks fighting, I think, when she was like 10. So Shanika's not one of these girls that got into the sport in her late 20s or 30s, which you see a lot. The amateur scene in New Zealand and Australia, same thing with Sky. Sky Nicholson. Like female Aussie boxing is a thing. Female boxing in New Zealand, Oceania, is a thing at the amateur level. So what does this mean? This means that this girl, it's not on accident she has all the belts. I think it's a good spot for her. And there are a lot of bettors taking Dina, and I understand why. I think it's a close 50-50 fight. I expect the optics, though, of how I think the fight will look and where the fight takes place. I expect the close rounds to go to the champ. Yeah, so even on paper. So the odds kind of move slightly. I got Shanika at $1.88. She's at $1.93 now, so 5 cents. But our Discord is torn, which is great. This is one of these fights in our group that half the boys have Dina, rightfully so. I understand why. She's good. Dina's good, man. Dina's good. We have to pick somebody, and the odds are great. And I just gave you my read and my view. It's what I'm looking at. Sometimes sometimes the more skilled or optically friendly looking tight, how do I say this? Cleaned up boxer isn't the one who always wins, especially in these women fights that are 2-minute rounds in which there's sprints. So in these 2-minute round fights, what I've seen, at least, part of the game plan from Shanika is they literally plan to weaponize their cardio in each fight. And Dina likes to fight that fight too. But like I said earlier, when I watch Dina's tape, I think Dina's better on the outside. I think her hand speed's better. She has better punch selection. She has better combinations. But I don't see Shanika allowing the fight to take place there. It's going to be interesting. It's a fun fight. I get the card's fun. The MVP card, very interesting fights. I think we did. The fight I'm torn on is Joe Ward. Ward hasn't fought in 22 months. Kasparian bringing mayhem. Yeah, so I think I kind of mentioned this fight too. I just taped both guys. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do a parlay with Joe Ward on it. Joe Ward could box. Joe Ward could box. Why I say that, why I reference that is because being able to box allows you to navigate and maneuver sort of moments in a fight that could be dangerous for you, whether it's an explosive first round or being hurt and knowing how to clinch or getting caught with something big and having a poker face and using the entire ring. Joe Ward comes from a very distinguished amateur background. He hasn't had the pro career that people thought he was going to have for various reasons. And I just think people are kind of overlooking him. Even though the odds makers still have him as a favorite, I'm seeing a lot of people picking Kasparian. I think Ward should be able to handle Kasparian, to be honest with you. So I currently don't have a play yet, but I might. I really like Ward on points. But we'll see. Like Ward has skills, man. He knows how to use the ring. He can punch. He has different he's a skilled boxer. Finally caught the log. Let's go. What do you think of these upsets? Kasparian, Denny, Des, Troy, Sharita. I don't think any of them. I think Kasparian versus Ward will be close, but I still edge Ward. I think Callum Walsh makes the Tyler Denny fight look easy. I think Des versus Tam will be close early, but I think I have Tam unanimous decision there. Troy Williamson versus Callum, like I said, you guys heard me say all week, I currently don't have action on that fight. I might play the fight to not go the distance at plus money. Chicken versus Gale. I mean, if you want to bet on Auntie Chicken, it's going to be a close one. Auntie Chicken is like, what, 44 now? Amanda Gale she should have enough juice there. I don't have action on that fight. Mark Buke, I mean, I don't see Mark Buke winning, mate. That dude. Let's. Why? Why are you? All right. Somebody who's taped Mark Buke, please come on now and debate me on why he wins. I mean, did you watch him in his last fight at Zuffa? Like, this dude. I mean, what is he, a plus 500? What are the odds? There's a guy named Billy Pickles fighting. Let's go, Bill Pickles. Okay, now Connor Coyle. Granted, yeah, it's not the. Obviously, I don't have Connor Coyle at $1.14 on any of my tickets. So I see where you're getting at, Eddie. I don't have I'm not. As you can tell, you know my tickets. Connor Coyle does not appear on any of my tickets. So my job from here now is to guide you and give you my perspective on Mark Buke at plus 550. I talked about this yesterday. Connor's 35, has obviously fought at the higher level. Buke is 32. I mean, Buke's never fought in a 10-round fight before. He's 32. He's never really fought out of Texas. If you want to take him at plus 550, that's on you, but I do ask to see the ticket prior. So everyone betting on Mark Buke at plus 550, I want to see the tickets prior. You post them, you stand on business. I don't have action on this fight. It would be I'd have to lose a bet to put money on Mark Buke to win. If that I'd have to all right, Johnny, best of 5, paper, scissors, rocks. If you lose the best of 5, paper, scissors, rocks, you have to put $100 on Mark Buke. That's the only way I would ever bet on him to win. That's all I'm saying. But remember, Connor Coyle's not on any of my parlays, so that should tell you a lot. Callum Walsh, McKenna, Hickey, Ward. I don't see Joe Ward losing either, mate. People all week were saying Kasparian. When I watch Kasparian, I think sometimes we get excited about records. We kind of put a lot of credence into amateur hype. Both guys had amateur hype, though. Joe Ward's been waiting for this moment. This is his moment. I would be shocked if he fumbled this. I would be shocked if Joe Ward fumbled this to Kasparian. Explain my David Nika knockout bet. My David Nika knockout bet is he's a 6'6" guy getting a home game as the A side. He's big as hell. He's stiff. He's not going to be a mover. He's just fighting a guy who's a 6 foot tall guy who's not big as hell, who's also stiff, who isn't a mover. And David Nika could punch. And I can't wait to see the ring size. And Mason's gonna give Nika the exact fight Nika wants. And if Nika is the puncher that he's been sold to us, Nika should stop him. I like Nika 1 through 6, to be honest with you. What do you think about Serrano's next opponent? She's undefeated. She seems very aggressive. Haven't looked into it. Who do you have, Garcia, Ben? Haven't thought about it. How Johnny will bet this. Guys, if you're new to the chat, I don't mean to be dismissing your questions, but as you're probably kind of understanding, our channel, our community, our Discord, we are a week-to-week betting community. And so, I might entertain Raleigh versus Teo like I did earlier. But other than that, we have a lot of fights in front of us. We have the New Zealand card this weekend. We have the MVP card this weekend. We have Zuffa this weekend. And we have the UFC. So our community, we make our money. We keep the lights on by staying focused week in and week out. I have looked at Amanda's fights, obviously. I do have thoughts of Connor versus Ryan. But we'll get to those fights when those fights come a little bit closer. And they're coming around the corner. If you're a bettor like we are, I would suggest keeping your focus week to week. We do have a quarterly parlay, so that's live. If you guys are in our Discord, you would know my takes. And so, other than that, let's get this money. Troy knockout, not gonna lie. What's up, Eddie? Hey, Eddie, Eddie, you're an OG in our group. I respect your takes, and just as Julius has talked me maybe into playing this fight, the knockout. I think I'm most. You know what? F it. I'm playing it right now. I'm playing Williamson versus Simpson. Fight not to go the distance at plus money. That's my play. And shout out to Eddie. Shout out to Julius. You guys know that I can be talked into things. But I think it's a plus money prop to where I don't have to pick a side. And maybe I could erase the curse of the rematch curse. Don't even try talking me into playing Nathan Heaney versus Warburton 2, though. I don't want to hear any of this bullshit. I'm going to do this one now for the boys. But I don't want to hear any of this, who you got for Warburton versus Heaney 2. I don't want to hear any of this. So here we go. I'm going to play it. I didn't know it's a plus money prop. I kind of like it. Will the fight go the distance? No, plus 115. Bro. And there we go. Fucking Julius. Troy is keeping bettors from taking Simpson in this fight. Let Callan make it right with you and get your money back. Let's go, Barium. I liked your write-up on this. Barium had another stellar perspective. All we could do as bettors is we could do our film study, we could bet without our emotions, and we could share insights. And this is what we've created here. Like, don't ever undervalue the boys in our group. Don't ever undervalue the what we're getting out of all of us sharing our opinions. The sharing of knowledge. I used to run these entrepreneurial startup sort of masterminds, basically from like 2014 to 2020, when I was doing documentaries and writing books and working with entrepreneurs, this sort of thing. We would do these mastermind groups. And I wrote a course for first-year business owners. And one of the very first rules that I wrote that holds back, that limits growth of new entrepreneurs, is not sharing knowledge. Sharing knowledge, dude, is a huge component of success. The only way you could share knowledge, though, is you have to remove your ego, and you have to be acceptant of hearing other people's perspective. You can't just say, no, I disagree. Fuck it. Nah, you're stupid. You don't know shit. No, that's not what our group does. So Barium wrote this amazing analysis on the changes that Callum had made for Camp 2, how Fight 1 went, the ebbs and flows of the story of Fight 1, the 10th round, and then he back-ended it with the prediction that Callum will look a lot different. And you did great work on that, mate. I liked reading that one as well. Julius, why wouldn't you just bet no distance if you think Simpson getting the KO? What's up, GK? Hedging. GK, hedging. Mr. Get No Money, Grandmaster Johnny Dina put Raven Chapman. I talked about that. Cerebral edema and a brain bleed. She's been on a Hail Mary slip for August. Yeah, I brought that up, Mr. Get Money. You know, think about that, though. Think about that psychologically when you put a sparring partner of yours in a coma. Think about what that did to, I'm aging myself here, but Ray Boom Boom Mancini. The famous fight that changed boxing forever, that made boxing go from 15 rounds to 12 rounds, and it didn't happen overnight. It took a few years of sanctions, was a world title fight in 1982 in Las Vegas, Nevada at Caesars at 1 p.m. in the desert between our world champion from my hometown, Youngstown, Ohio, Boom Boom Mancini, versus Dooku Kim. And Dooku Kim, before he left his homeland, he said, I'm either coming home a world champion or I'm coming home in a body bag. And it was an absolute war. Up until the 12th round, it was kind of nip and tuck. But the 13th and 14th, Ray was taking over, landing everything clean. You can watch this fight on YouTube. And after the 15th round, Dooku Kim never got off his stool. And he passed away. And Ray, to this day, Ray's a sweetheart of a guy. Was never the same guy. Ray was a guy who retired at 20, fought a little bit after, but, retired at 29 years old. Ray was 21 when he fought Alexis Arguello, by the way. Dude, Ray Mancini fought Alexis Arguello as a 21-year-old. Absolutely insane. And I still think he won the last Livingston Bramble fight, by the way, as well. Shout out to Livingston Bramble. But after the second Livingston Bramble fight, Ray retired. He was 29, and then it was very common. He even talked. He was never the same guy. He couldn't be as aggressive. And then even Charles Conwell, after rest in peace to Patrick Day, and Conwell spoken about this. Conwell, it took him a while to even walk into a gym after. And these are opponents of theirs where the worst of the worst happened. And Patrick Day, rest in peace, and Dooku Kim, rest in peace. And, both fighters have spoken publicly of how it was such a challenge for them to even, walk into a gym. It's hard for me to think, if you're Dina, that's going to be a psychological advantage for you. That's all I'm saying. Because the way this is framed, Dina Thorsland put Raven in the hospital, cerebral edema and brain bleed. She's been on my Hail Mary slip for I personally think that's going to be a negative thing for Dina. And I hope with all prayers that Raven is okay. But it's wild we're just hearing about this right before fight weekend when this happened July 24th, by the way. So I'm not saying that we're trying to keep this on hush, but I just heard about this, and we have, our group, we have the pulse. We literally have our pulse on the front line. We're friends with fighters. We're friends with coaches. We have pros in our group. We have guys in our group who are fighting on the Zuffa card or on the Zuffa card. So also she had a miscarriage too. So fighters could act like these things don't affect them, but subconsciously she's gonna have she has a big, she could use it as motivation, but I think in terms of the hill to climb for me is even steeper if you're Dina. Dina's a beast too, though. Just because I'm betting for her to lose, she's a beast. I like the way she boxes. I like everything she says in the media. It's just that maybe from me being a strength and conditioning coach, seeing the shape Shernika always comes in and seeing how she's look at who Shernika's fought everybody. I don't know if Dina's going to have enough. I don't know if she could, even has the power. I'll give her the slight speed advantage, I think. We'll see. It's a close fight. That's her. Yeah, dude. Old Torta. Flores, dude. We thought there was a minute. We're going back to your call now with Ellie Scottney fight. Boys, don't forget, we were sweating during because Ellie Scottney was our last fight on our parlay. That was one of those weekends, like a lot of these weekends where we're all eating. And we were going, and two of the fights prior to Ellie were the supposed close 50-50 fights that we all thought, all right, if we get through this fight and we just get to Ellie, we're home free. And then we won, and Ellie won a wide decision. But you watch those first 2 to 3 rounds, or maybe it wasn't a wide decision. Maybe it was close on the. All I remember thinking was who is this girl? She is gonna screw our parlays. She looks like she doesn't train, but she has the cardio of a god. And that's Flores Tortini. Troy not going anywhere unless it's Ben Shalom payoff job. Let's go. Yeah, that's her insane punch out, but I just taped her. She threw us down at 600. Shout out that she's getting another feature. I can't wait to hear your breakdown, Barium, on her. Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Does anybody have a read on Billy Pickles? Boys, anybody taking Dill Pickles out here? Alex Layup High just added a sports bet. Good odds. Yeah, guys, check it for the Aussies out here. For the Aussies who use sports bet like myself, they just put up the entire Kiwi card. And I want to lean on Boxing Booth. He's a Kiwi fighter and a coach. I'm not going to sit here and even try to act like I know some of these fighters. I know Leapai because I think he's an NRL guy, right? Didn't Alex play in the NRL? So we got some, and so did Foso, I think. But other than that, I don't know Thornberry. I don't know any of these other fighters. Shayla Yama. So I don't know. Fighting a 5-5 43-year-old. Did you tape Silva and our boy Mike? No, I didn't. I'm not betting. So our boy Mike Tyler is fighting. I hope he wins. I'm treating his fight as I treat how Like, I don't bet on the Cleveland Browns. I don't bet on the Cleveland Indians. I don't bet on the Cleveland Cavs. Those are my favorite teams. You know my rule. Don't bet on your favorite. So I'm gonna watch Mike fight this guy, and I hope with so much he wins, and I believe that he could change his life. And this is at 31. This is and he's a big dog. So I'm not gonna bet on it though. I don't want to put that out there. I hope he wins though. Troy can get old overnight. 35. Super chat. What's up, Rez? What do you think of Billy Pickles? Just so you boys know, Rez isn't playing around. This is a real fight. They just added this. So Rez, I have until Sunday at 2 a.m. my time. It's Thursday, 11 a.m. This fight just showed up on my screen today. So I haven't taped Billy Pickles, Max Curtis. And I've said all week, I'm not in a rush this week to bet on everything. I never am. I think that's kind of what's allowed me in the last year because of you guys to be really strategic, and it's allowed me to win consistently. So just because for me fights are added, especially a domestic level, probably C- level domestic fight between Billy Pickles and Curtis, we don't have to bet on these fights, guys. And I understand that the interest because the odds. And for the sake of Rez, I will look into it and I'll have an answer for him tomorrow. But you're probably not going to see this fight on any of my parlays. I am interested. I still will put a UFC parlay together, though. I'm just kind of torn on a couple. My UFC dog right now, because we're almost an hour in, there's 100 of you guys in here. The only UFC ticket I'm playing with right now, and the Aussies are pissed at me. The Perth boys are pissed. Sorry, Skeezy. Sorry, Youngin. Sorry, Sugarcane. These are my Aussie boys. Some of them live in Perth. I think Gamrot is going to be too much. I don't care if he's 35 years old. I like that the fight's in the Apex. I like that the fight that they have the smaller octagon. I know you guys tell me Quinlan could wrestle and grapple, but I don't put his grappling at anywhere near the level of Gamrot's. And so I'm leaning on and I got Gamrot at plus money. So when you look at that fellow, what is Gamrot? 29-4? Gamrot's only losses are to some of the best guys. He has a win over Sarukian in a great fight. He's only 35. I don't even think Gamrot's ever been stopped. He might have got subbed. But cute, watching the UFC since its infancy, I've seen so many times, as you guys have seen, guys, prospects, people who start out hot, getting finishes in their step up against a real world level guy, things don't go as well. I'm leaning on that. Seems like Callum could outgrow. Callum is massive, guys. I don't know how Callum makes 168 now. Like, Callum, am I tripping? Wouldn't Callum be a big light heavyweight? Wouldn't Callum Simpson be it's only from 68 to 75. Wouldn't Callum be a big light heavyweight? Just making sure I pay my bills and show love to a brother. Appreciate you, lights out. Let's go. 95 of you guys in here. Yeah, I'm slamming Raleigh. Bro, let me pull that up real quick. Guys, we're getting into the nitty-gritty of this week. The film study should already be in. I'm going to check out Billy Pickles for my boy Rez. I'll get back to you tomorrow. I am going to take a little bit of a look ahead because I want to see what the odds are on Raleigh versus Teo. That fight's in 3 weeks, 2 weeks. Yeah. I mean, come on. I'm going to do a full in-depth breakdown. You guys like me, you've watched their entire careers. Both guys have had head-scratching moments in their careers. But when I'm thinking about Raleigh Romero at plus 200, and then you back end what I just said, we've watched their entire careers. We know them. They've both had these sort of head-scratching moments in their careers. We know that. The next question we have to ask, though, is the most important one. What have you done for me lately? Recency. Recent. What have you done for me lately? So once you do your film study, once you pick, your early lean, once you look at the odds and you ask these questions, it is really, 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 really hard for me to pass up a guy who's a 2-division world champion at 147 at plus 200, who's going up against a guy who's coming off a really bad loss, who has never fought at 147 before, who really hasn't looked good in a while. You could say he looked good against Arnold, but maybe 8-4 fight. It wasn't a whitewash against Arnold. And then you go back to probably his best fight as of late was Josh Taylor. How long ago was that? He didn't look good against Sandor Martin. He didn't look good against the Canadian kid, Steve Claggett. He didn't like for me, they're like when I think about Teo at his best, I'm talking like Lomachenko Teo. Like how old was he then? 21? 20? 21, 22? So when I'm thinking about Raleigh at his best, I like what I'm seeing. I like him moving up a weight class. I like him being more confident. I like him settling into his persona. You know, that win against Ryan, you know, that meant a lot to him. You could tell. And now you're starting to hear his sort of, dare I say, colleagues, the guys like Ryan, the guys like Dev, the guys like Tank, the announcers, they're not as disrespectful as they used to be about Raleigh. They used to, you know, because they said he lost the unk when he lost to the 78-year-old, but, you know, the phantom stoppage, and then he gets stopped against Tank, and, you know, the trolls would come out and they would talk about, you know, his IQ, and they would talk about his persona and how he's a joke or a clown. You don't, you can see through his actions in the ring as he's matured into who he is. He's kind of rewritten that sort of narrative about what people say about him or who he is or who they think he is. And at plus 200, I got to be honest, that is a really tough bet to pass up. I like me taking Teo at 43% on the money line to win a fight in a division he's never fought at before against a guy who's a bigger puncher, against a guy who's bigger than him. I don't know. I really, really like Raleigh in that spot. What makes you like Coyle and McKenna so much? What's up, David? Maybe I've failed everybody as a team, but I don't have Coyle on any of my tickets, and I apologize if I was coming off confusing to make me say that I like Coyle. All I was saying was at $1.14, Connor Coyle shows up on that many of my parlays. I'm not betting on that fight, right? I have got so I don't like him, right? It's not like what makes you like him. To take Mark Buke at plus 550, I need somebody to, because I watched his last fight against Antonio Williams. It was horrible. It was very YMCA sort of thing. Mark Buke is a 32-year-old guy who's never really fought out of Texas, who's never fought a 10-rounder before, who's being brought over to Ireland on a Zuffa card because he looked good against another guy. Like, I need to ask you why you like Mark Buke. And then you say McKenna. I think Aaron McKenna is a world champion. I've been saying that for the last few years, that Aaron McKenna will be the next guy in line at 160. I think he does a lot of things really well at the world level. I like his resume as of late. People say, oh, he hasn't really fought in the last 15, 16 months. That's nothing because of his fault. You know how hard it is for that team McKenna to get a fight? This is a kid who just turned 27, coming off a career-defining performance. This is a kid as an 11-year-old fighting in the amateurs in America, fighting Devinhaney when they were 11, at 15 doing his fight camps at B&B Boxing with Bomac, you know, doing multiple camps in America. I was first told about his sort of trajectory at 160. I run a Facebook group called Boxing News Today. I ran it from 2021 to 2024. I had about 200,000 people in there until one morning I woke up and Facebook removed it. That's a whole nother story. In that group that was almost 200,000 people, Bomac was in that group, and Bomac was the one who was in my ear the whole time about Aaron McKenna. Bomac was the one telling me about the sparring that he would have with Bud down in Nebraska. He was like, people don't really know about this kid. And what I've watched, especially the last 5 years of his career, great, you know, he doesn't have the quickest feet. He has really great feet. His movement in and out, his punch selection, he could fight at range, his body punching, the optics of how he fights, the confidence in how he fights. There's a lot of things to like about Aaron McKenna. And at 160 pounds, I don't see a lot of guys who I would take to beat him at 160. And he just turned 27, growing into his physical prime, confident as hell. A lot to like about Aaron McKenna. Ola is busy. Buke is crafty. Wow. So you think Mark Buke is crafty? Okay, if you think Mark Buke is crafty, then take him, bro. I don't like being put in a position to downgrade a fighter, though. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like this week I've been put in a position to downgrade Mark Buke when all I could do is not bet the fight. You know, like I don't have that fight. I'm not playing that fight. So David, did you like what he looked like in his last fight against Antonio? Antonio had a 14-1 record against, I don't think anybody with a winning record. And Mark Buke at 32 years old had never fought an 8-rounder at 32. And he's crafty. I don't know. I think I think they saw he got a W in the first card, and I mean he doesn't have much. He stands there, he jumps in. Not a lot of punch versatility. Doesn't have one punch knockout power. Kind of slow. Not a good infighter. Doesn't use the entire ring. His feet are flat. I don't. Maybe we're talking about a different guy, but I'm not betting on Connor Coyle at 14% return. When you described how Pierce O'Leary reminds you of Max from Punch Out with those lead rights, I really laughed out loud. Yes, dude. Every time. And it was actually in the moments he was doing good. Like, talk about a roller coaster of a ride. That fight even though Pierce lost, and that fight was awesome. And O'Leary at 26 years old, he'll come back again. I hope Mark Chamberlain gets big fights. But when O'Leary recovered after that, the big knockdowns early on, and he was having his success, he'd come into range. He wouldn't use his long range jab, but he'd go like this, and then he would throw the double right hand here, and get back under. And it reminded me just as Max. He just like Mike Tyson's punch out. I'm glad you agree. What do you think about Amanda Gaye? I don't have action on her, but I think she should beat Auntie Chicken. Raleigh's a lot smarter than what the general public thinks. The odds made him dog because of his misconception. If Teo doesn't get a knockout, well, Teo can't really punch, right? Teo isn't knocking anybody out. Yeah, Teo's not a puncher. He's never fought at 47. Guys, when we think about the biggest jumps in weight classes, in terms of, what would you guys say? And I'm not trying to tell, I have my opinion. If we're like, hey, Johnny, what's the hardest jump? 115 to 118? I'd be like, no. I got it. How about 118 to 122? I'd probably, no. How about 130 to 135? No. I would probably say 40 to 47. Just in terms of the physicality, the type of jump from 40 to 47 is, and the type of fighters you see. Guys at 140 are usually akin to, natural 135ers who go to 40, right? When you go to 47, you see guys boiled down to get to 47 who probably should be at 54, maybe sometimes 60. And so when you have guys who weren't that big at 40 going up to 47, perfect example of this is Liam Paro. Him at 40, he wasn't a big 140. And then we've seen him in his 2 fights at 147. He's been victorious and he's a 2-division champ, but we've seen him struggle with size against David Pepot and in his most recent fight with Lewis Crocker. So I've always said 40 to 47 is one of these jumps that it's probably one of the toughest in boxing. On paper, it's only 7 pounds, but you have to look at more than just the 7 pounds. You have to look at the direction of where the fighters are coming. Are they coming up to a division? Are they coming down from a division? And so, Teo didn't have power at 40. You know what I mean? There's no way you could predict he's going to have power at 47. When I watch Oliha and McKenna's fights, I see a big skill. Yeah, I think Etinosa Oliha is 22-0 with 10 knockouts. He has a nice undefeated record. He's ranked high, I think, in what's this order? Is this the IBF? Maybe I try to do my best, and all my receipts, you guys can check the receipts for all my videos. I do lives every day. I've been building our group for about a year, so my takes, and I think I have a pretty good reputation for not overall, at least purposefully glazing fighters. I'll sometimes troll, I'll troll you guys with Josh Kelly, and the guys in the Discord know that, so I'll go on people's pages if I know that it's getting to them. I'll troll a little bit in live streams. And I do like Josh, and I did pick Josh to beat Murtazaev, and I've watched Josh his whole career. But I'm a realist. Somebody tried saying Johnny said that Josh would beat Boots. I was like, I never said that. I just said that I want to see that fight. Would I pick Josh to beat Boots? No. How do you bet against Duran? You know what I mean? How do you bet against Ennis? Would I want Josh to win? Hell yeah. I'd be going for Josh, but I'd be betting on Duran. So I try not to. I don't think I'm glazing McKenna. Now, I assume, I'm friends with like Hall of Fame boxers. Like I hang out with guys who are active fighters. I've been in the sport since I was a kid. I talk to a lot of guys who, maybe not publicly will say it, but they see the same thing I see with Aaron McKenna. So I'd like to think that I'm not off base on that. I think McKenna is a level or two above Etnosa, just based in skills and pedigree. This kid has been made and bred for this moment. He was just turned 27 years old. I mean, when research his story, his family story, an 11-year-old kid traveling to the States to go spar and fight in tournaments, European versus American against Devin Haney. And then, he goes through puberty and comes back and spars with Bud. And so I just use that as a reference because that should kind of go in to tell you the pedigree of McKenna and the mindset of this kid. Super confident, great build for the division, growing into his physicality. One of the things that you can't measure on paper, what I like the most about his style, though, is how confident he is in his style. You don't really see him in negative positions. You don't really see him disappear in fights. You don't really see him sort of kind of like taking these moments off. And I like that in young fighters. Mark, yeah, this is something no one's going to tell you. I don't know if somebody, maybe like guy, look, I'm not the only guy who does this. I know there's only, if it's like me, Gary, and maybe, and Julius when he starts putting his camera on. But you guys know what Julius looks like from my live streams. There aren't many of us who show our faces doing this, and that there should be something said about that. Tommy and Paulie, obviously, these are guys in my network, and I reference that because we're not doing it anonymously, right? And so we put a lot out there, and we're putting our name and reputations on the line when we break tape down and make our predictions. And you guys know, you see my tickets. I show you my slips as well. So the JSB insiders know when I win and they know when I lose because they get them beforehand. I haven't seen anybody. Maybe somebody or is there a community disconnected from ours taking Buke? And if they are, I want to know a path to victory because from what I saw in him and what we're watching, Connor Coyle should make it look easy. Connor Coyle knows how to box. I don't know if Mark Buke boxes. He looks like a guy who probably played like tight end in high school or maybe, the 4-3 defense, maybe, outside linebacker, but not in an outside linebacker split, like the DN sort of. Like he looks athletic enough, but he looks stiff to me. His movement, when I see him box, I don't see a lifelong fighter. When I see his punch selection, he freezes up sometimes. There's a lot of lulls in his work. He's flat-footed. There doesn't have one-punch knockout power. He's kind of stiff. I don't know, man. At plus 550, it's definitely just what? You're just hoping a prayer? Or if you could break it down, if Barry Boxing did a breakdown and made me see it, like the greatest writers, my favorite authors that I read, they paint pictures. I like storytellers. I like philosophers, Alan Watts, Joseph Campbell, these sort of guys. They tell stories with their words. If somebody could tell me a story with a write-up and then maybe show me what I'm seeing, what they're seeing that I'm not seeing, I might entertain it, but I can't entertain that. What's up with Rafa? Figgy fighting Tomoku Kameda now. I don't know what's up with Rafa, man. I thought we were going to see the Rafa versus Figgy fight. It's something I want to see. Neither guy. I mean, isn't it crazy that Figgy's younger than Rafa? Because I think we, as fight fans, at least internationally, a lot of us, first kind of started hearing about Rafa in his first fight with Robesi. I think Rafa's already in his early 30s. Is Rafa 31, 32? And Figgy's and Brandon's younger than you guys think. Rafa's 32 years old. 6 foot, at 32 years old, making 126. You can't, like, is he just going to stay there forever? Yeah, and Fig's 29. That's crazy. Because I think I was in a chat with somebody, they were trying to, Rafa's 26 years old. I was like, no, he's not, bro. You just heard of him recently because of the first fight with Robesi. Rafa's 32. So, he had, I don't know. I don't know the details. I see some dudes on Twitter hyping up Olia. let them hype guys up, man. Twitter definitely doesn't like us, so maybe they're trying to find a lane. We're not. I don't have Twitter by choice. You know, I've never used it, but I know there's people who make pages about our group and in the past meme pages. So I find it entertaining. This is bottom of the barrel stuff from. See, and I don't like being put in a position to bad guys, but yeah. Joseph Ward going to the parlay. Look at the amateur background. He's the same. Yeah, this is. I guess we're all trying to find dogs, and you know me, guys. I'm the first one to put the swindler hat on. I'm the first one to dog hunt. If I'm out here telling you I don't see a dog, that means that nothing has jumped up off of the page. If anything, if you guys, I would take Dina as the dog. Like, of all these fights we're talking about, I would be, but obviously I like Shernika. But of the Mark Bukes of the world and the Kasparians of the world, I would probably say Dina has a better chance of winning than those guys. Josh Van was our dog of the week in May. I love Van. Van's been making us money. I started making money on Van when my boy Charles Johnson beat him. So sometimes we win on fighters consistently, not needing them to win. When I got Charles Johnson at plus 380, that was kind of a heart bet because I'm friends with Charles. I've known Charles since the regional days, the LFA days. And then after Josh lost, he went on a run. So then I started picking him. And I picked him in his title fight. Gio Johnny, if you parlay Walsh and McKenna, you get 179. Yeah. So I love this. Right now the ticket that I have the most money invested in, just full transparency, boys. And you guys have this ticket. If you're a JSB insider, it's the 4-leg money quad. 4-leg money line. It pays plus 132. Of my bankroll this week, I've loaded up on this ticket. David Nika on the money line. Greatest Kraus on the money line. And I'm probably going to play a greatest stoppage, by the way. Callum Walsh on the money line and Aaron McKenna on the money line. So those 4 I got at plus 132. Basically my week when I break down how much money my bankroll is I'm a nerd about like stats. You guys know that. So that trickles down into my finances. That trickles down into my expenses. That trickles down into my month. I do a monthly bankroll, okay? And I reset it after each month. If I won, we'll say 30 grand last month. If I won 30 grand, I still reset my bankroll to base level month in and month out, right? So I look at each month as an individual season, okay? That being said, this is our first week of this month. So this bankroll that I'm going into for August, I'm super heavy on that 4-legger. And that's why I'm not forcing. I usually only go heavy on my dogs. Like last week, it was the Cepeda money line at plus money because I was super confident in that. When you guys see me doing stats don't lie videos and it's an underdog play, you should kind of know, damn, Johnny's going heavy on it, right? I shouldn't have to tell you, especially the guys who've been with me for a year now. That's kind of my, I don't give it all away, but, if you read between the lines. So I didn't do any stats don't lie videos this week, because there wasn't a fight that really wanted me to break out my Sony A7. There wasn't that's a bad motherfucker right there, dude. With the Sigma 330 lens. I had an investor buy me all this stuff for a documentary I did. I pitched to this guy. That's a whole nother story. But for me to bring that bitch out and do hours of edits to edit all those pretty videos, I gotta be at this stage of the game. I gotta be excited about a fight. Early days, I would do stats don't lie videos about all the fights. Now, at this stage of the game, with our Discord growing, our live streams popping, figuring out a system for what we're actually doing here, I'm only bringing that bad motherfucker out if it's a fight that excites me and if it's a dog play that excites me. And those are usually the fights that I'm going heavy on. Now, I don't see a dog this week. There was nothing on the page that was like, and to reiterate, Dina, if you looking for a dog and you don't have action on that fight, I have Shernika on to win. but it's a close 50-50. And I think of all the dogs, I think Dina could get it done. Dina will fight for your money too. Nika has been set up. Yep. New Zealand card. Caught the live here while getting some double back, and let's go. Let's go. Come on, boys, making me jealous. Must rewatch to get better understanding. What's up, Hector Rivera? Appreciate you. Mr. Dermo, nothing annoys me more than people asking me about fights taking place. Yeah, it just keeps us aligned, right? I'll have my eye on the future, but our team, our squad, there's over 100 of you guys in here. We're an hour and 15 minutes in. Our season happens every week, right? We got to be locked in. We got to be on our film study. We got to be on our questions. We got to be on our, our reads. There's boys in our group who are in fighters' DMs right now, sharing the DM chat in our Discord. We got some savages. We can't look too far ahead. Yeah, he looked terrible. I went from LA to Vegas to put my McKenna points plan. Hopefully it goes. Jerry, if anything, whether obviously the win, I'll at least be shoulder to shoulder with you, you know. There's my boy Boxing Booth. This is our Kiwi sniper. This is our boots on the ground, New Zealand in the house, fighter, coach. Yeah, we're not going to win them all, but the last few weeks we got 2 New Zealand cards back to back, man. We get to increase and further develop our international boxing knowledge. Guys, we shouldn't, as bettors, we don't need every fight card to produce world champions. We don't need every fight card to produce potential Hall of Famers. We don't even need A-level matchmaking. That's not what we're looking for. We're not in the business of critiquing promoters. We're not in the business of critiquing matchmakers. What we are in the business of is betting and winning. So if anything, we know how to deal with certain promoters and matchmakers. We know what Eye of the Tiger brings to us. We know about what Top Rank brings to us. We know what to expect with Zuffa. Having a New Zealand 2 back-to-back cards, we're still learning what to expect. And what I've known about David Nika, he gets a lot of pub here in Australia. He puts his hand up. Nobody's putting their hand up on hours' notice to fight Jai. That shows you the type of guy he is. Comes from a good camp. Coming home. New Zealand's giving him a homecoming. I think this is a feeder fight. I like the knockout. Leapai, Nika, Walsh, Kraus, both McKenna's, Tam. Let's go, bro. Skeezy, let's go. I love this ticket right here. I'm gonna screenshot it. Azim, I'm not getting the Azim fight, but I'm gonna just screenshot that. And Leapai. Boxing Booth, who are your New Zealand leans? Leapai is free money. Okay. Youngin, Sydney boy. Shout out to our Assyrian Brotherhood. Free money if he says it. Leapai, he's versing someone with a 5-5 record who's over 40. GK is true. Shout out to New York. I think GK is New York. This weekend is like West. Do you recommend betting for it? Shiny suits, I only recommend you betting what you could afford. I don't know what your bankroll is. I don't know the streak you're on. I don't know your strategy. I'm only relaying my strategy to you. We have guys, shout out to one of our boys in the Discord. He's a big fish, man. Shout out to No Limit. No Limit, this fool, I've seen him win bets wagering from 20K to like 1,000 on a prop, right? So he has a big bankroll. It just depends what your bankroll is, man. I'm just relaying that. That's that 4-leg for me. I'm up like the last 4 weeks. Guys, July was insane for us. When I did my numbers of July, like it was insane for us. And so with the action that we're getting, I tend not to go my heaviest on a 4-legger. I don't. Our boy No Limit, though, I've seen him put like $8,000 on a 6-legger before. And shout out to our boy who won 130K. Our boy put like, I think $700 or $800 on I think it was an 8-legger. 2 weeks ago when we were hitting when we hit like knockout pride, and he parlayed all of the tickets together and won 130,000. Shout out, dude. We're doing good work in our group, man. It made me so happy. He wrote me this letter. It's insane, but I don't have the nuts to go that heavy on that many options. So maybe it was I usually will only go the heaviest on one fight. That's why I try to find the dog. But this weekend, it's a little bit of a different for me because I don't have a dog this weekend yet. So I have gone the heaviest on those 4 fighters. I tend not to use that as my strategy though, because as a bettor, you kind of have the way I look at it is the less amount of opportunities to lose, the better chance of winning. Now, we had a guy that got banned from our Discord early days. He would bet $50,000 to win 10,000, and he would put like 6 super chalk fighters, guys $1.05, $1.10, $1.07. He was super toxic in our group. He would just show up to brag, and he's one of these guys who would post his slip 50,000. You'd see it to win like 10, and he would do it expecting to get glazed. And the reactions in our group would be like, "You stupid mother!" Like they would attack him. This was early days, and then I'd have to like mitigate everything. But hey, hold on, you can't just clown or attack him. But then he would attack back and talk shit, and then we had to kick him out. But anyway, everyone has their own different strategy, bro. Rest in peace. Yeah, man, heartbreaking stuff. Who from the Discord is fighting? Mike Tyler. I'll show you. So check your books. This fight. So Tyler Christopher in our Discord is Mike Tyler. And full transparency, he showed his ticket. He bet on himself. He got himself. He put the ticket up yesterday. He wagered. I think they maxed him out at 275, and at the time he was a 6-1 dog. And so I don't know if it's because of it was a $275 bet. I don't know, but he's down to plus 320 now. I don't know if that's because of our Discord and the boys were all cheering for him, and maybe that's affected the line. But Mauro Silva's the A side. Mike Tyler in our Discord. That's Tyler Christopher. Check your books. Good luck, brother. It'll change his life if he wins. He's 31 years old. He's from Bermuda. Lives in the UK. I think he's what 12-0. I don't know if Dina is good, but that miscarriage won't be an issue. She was 11 weeks pregnant, had the miscarriage at 25. This is not the same as him. Yeah. Ebony 2 fights. Was it Ebony last fight or 2 fights ago? That performance Ebony had out of pregnancy, I feel like we all got honey dicked on that. You know what I'm saying? When like she came out and had that flat performance, she was a huge favorite, and then literally looked like a shallow shell of herself. And then in the ring after was saying that I only got back in the ring. I had my hesitations about if I was gonna win or not. And I'm thinking, you grimy, dirty expletive. Because I had her, she was like a 4-1 favorite. She was fighting a girl like if she was like switched on, she should have won. And then she's admitting in the ring after, I really, kind of knew I wasn't gonna win this fight. I'm like, you dirty, rotten expletive. I wish you wouldn't have brought that. I kind of totally, when you get traumatized really bad, they say your memory sort of cancels out the trauma. I forgot about that. But the miscarriage thing is hard to tell because she did go public with it and she did have to pull out that fight. And she was supposed to fight the girl that Shernika ended up fighting. And then you mix that, though, with what just happened in fight camp this week. I would be cautious. I would be hesitant to say it wouldn't have some sort of negative sort of thing on her. Tyler Christopher, Mike Tyler, there he is. Thanks, brother. Just wanted some insights. I appreciate you. Man, gonna have to do. Guys, we got Contender Series starting next week. Dude, we made. If you guys were with us last year in the Discord, these are like amateur 50-50 fights. Dana White Contender Series. It'll be Wednesday morning. It's Tuesday night Contender Series in America. It's Wednesday morning here in Sydney. But if you were here last year, the Discord, bro, probably the funnest time other than the World Cup this year. The World Cup this year in the Discord was absolutely phenomenal. But the Dana White Contender Series is because the MMA boys are a little bit different. They're a little bit younger. Their memes are crazy. They're way more belligerent. They talk so much shit. Like boxing, we're like a little bit more mature. We're old heads. We carry ourselves a different way. Like the MMA Discord, our channel is like our little brothers. And you pop into the MMA channel during a fight, you'll see and hear some wild stuff. But I'm looking forward to watching the Contender Series again. Johnny gonna come to his senses by that time that Raleigh fight come. Trash dude ain't winning that. What's up, Fresh? New York in the house. Fresh called the New York Knicks winning the title. Just to clarify, all you guys, if you guys didn't put flowers on Fresh's name, he's gonna say he wasn't a Knicks fan, but he did call it. He called it when they were down 2-1 against. Was it Detroit? Who'd they go down 2-1 with in the quarters? Maybe 2-0. Or maybe they weren't down. Either way, you called the Knicks winning it when it wasn't a popular pick. Tail on points. Let's see. Japanese card is also on the books. Goodman versus Sue 70, the best sport in the world. Yes. It's on the books? When that's guys, because we know there's a card Wednesday night in Australia. Zuffa. Zuffa's fighting, but when is Sammy Boy fighting? He's defending his. So Sammy's defending his belt in Japan. I'm tripping. Does Sam have a belt? Did he get a belt or no? Has he still not got a belt? We watch so much boxing, boys. He challenged. That's crazy. He's 27 now. He's challenged for the WBA. He doesn't have a belt. Damn, hopefully he gets one. He's a good little fighter. Teo last 6 fights is the reason I don't rate Shakur very high versus him. Teo last 6 fights is the reason I don't rate Shakur win. Oh, okay. I met Callum Simpson MSG back in January. He was in town for that big ring card. He's massive, man. I like. So what do you see, Barium? What adjustments are we seeing? Gary Antonio on this 22nd. I'm a big fan of Antoine. That's the third one. Gary Antonio, it's kind of like if you have a copy machine. Let's say we have a color copy. This is a print, right? This is my journal, but let's say this is a print, and we're getting a color copy. This color copied 100 times. Of the, what is the brightest copy of the 100? The first copy, right? The 100th copy is going to be a little bit faded. Might not be a lot different, a little bit different. So I know it's not the end all and be all, and sometimes they say the youngest brother is the toughest brother in fight families. It's not always the case. Gary Russell, in my opinion, of his generation, probably the fastest hands of the last 20 years in boxing. You guys are probably going to call me crazy, but of the last 20 years in terms of hand speed, Gary Russell's hand speed, I put at least in the top 3. So he's the oldest. And then Gary Antoine Russell, GAR, probably my favorite 140, one of my favorite 140 pounders in the world. And then you have Gary Antonio. Is Gary Antonio older than GAR, though? I think Gary Antonio might be older than GAR. So my theory might be right. Yeah, Gary Antonio is 33. GAR is 27. So GAR is the youngest. And Gary Russell is what? Is he like 38 now? 38. So Gary Russell's 38. Gary Antonio's 33. GAR is like 27. So yeah, the middle brother. The middle brother is the less talented one. You're not glazing McKenna. He's really good. And prior to his fight being made, I had him publicly advocating for him to fight Troy Isley. Troy liked the idea and retweeted it. Nice. Do your work. I think Galley can beat Chicken. My brother just subscribed. Appreciate you, Sean. I also got the Discord app user, Sean. Okay. So Sean. Okay. Sean J60. Guys, if you just joined and you joined on YouTube, I'll send you a message. Send me an email. McKenna points, Neeks points, Nika. Bro, Barry, I like it. Chat's going wild. Why didn't you take Amanda Galley? Floyd, I haven't. There's just some. You know what it is, Floyd? Is the analogy that I could use is each fight week we have our book allows us to bet on the fights, right? And then we have our table in front of us, and I look at all of the options of betting as food on the table. And so this week, when I see all these pieces of food on the smorgasbord, and I'm hungry, I was making my early bets, my early reads. Oh, this is my UFC dog. This is my 4-leg moneyline boxing. This is my 2-leg boxing method. When I was looking at Chicken and Galley, I was just kind of putting it off. I was like, I'll get there. I'll get there. I'll get there. It's 11:45 on Thursday. I still haven't got there. That's kind of why. So it's not necessarily. Look, the MVP card, the females, we've seen every female card. You got to think there's going to be some upsets, right? So a mistake I've made in the past on the MVP cards is trying to get action on all 4 fights or trying to get action or plays on all 5 fights. I see the boys in the UFC chat making this mistake a lot. You have the UFC card, they have 12 fights. Guys want to either do a prelim parlay or a main event parlay, and one fight burns you, right? So I've been burned before on doing like action on all the main event fights on the MVP card. I'm on a heater right now. And so I've been, you analyze what's working for you, what's not working for you. What's working for me lately is picking and choosing and leaving some fights on the table. I'm not saying like I saw Galley versus Chicken. I've won money betting against Amanda before, and Chicken has lost me money before. So when I saw both of them fighting, I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna jump to bet on them. And so it's already a risky card because with Dina versus Shanika, whichever way you choose, that's going to be a 50-50 fight. So if you pick wrong on whichever side, and that's the last fight on the card, at least like you didn't get burned early on. So my whole thing is my action on the card is Tam on the money line. She shows up a couple fights before the main event, and then the main event pick. I feel I'm dodging a bullet by betting that way. Even if I like Gallier on the money line and she wins and I didn't bet it, I won't be pissed. Do you know what I mean? Shawnee, Kim Florida fan, that's why I'm asking you her. Ward's knee has come out twice that we know of, and he's had surgery on it. If not a big problem, then why his career stalled? Lou DiBella left him. Yeah, true. Shout out to I wasn't even talking about Muscles, Skeezy. Well, I was talking about the dude who goes by Unknown. We're not like Unknown and Muscles are 2 different guys, right? I wasn't talking about Muscles. Lou DiBella is my man shouted out Lou DiBella. Live bet against her heavy. Ate good that day. Guys, we're 90 minutes in. There's 108 of you in here. Like the video. Have we cooked up any? So, Youngin, the only thing we cooked up today is you guys twisted my arm into taking the Callum Simpson, Troy Williamson 2. Will the fight go the distance? No. So this is my play. And I'll share it in the Discord after we get off. So I put this is the only, I made this plus 115. Troy versus Callum 2. Julius Twisted my arm. Will the fight go the distance? No. So I'm going to watch Troy versus Callum too, and I'm just going to pray for blood. Plus 115. Just hoping somebody gets stopped. Atlanta. That was it. It was Atlanta. Callum, McKenna, Azim, Nika. I like it. What's up, Forecast? I like Azim. I'm not getting the Azim fight. I have Callum, McKenna, and Nika on a similar parlay. Time's flying. I know. Super chat time. What's up, brother? Oh, shit. I forgot to send a message. It's all good, bro. Let me know what you want to talk about, kid. Love Snatch. Buke for the upset. You guys love Mark Buke. Yeah, add in Kraus knockout. Guys, if you've been paying attention to our chat for the last year, you should know who Greatest Kraus is. So when I watch other live streams and I'm reading and I'm like you guys know I'm a nerd about this. I'm watching, I'm reading comments, I'm paying attention to like the boxing forums, I'm seeing what people are saying. When I meet guys who don't know who Greatest Kraus is, I instantly know they don't got it like we got it. like if you haven't been winning money the last 12 months on the Greatest Kraus knockout prop, you ain't doing it like we're doing it. And that's fine. We can't expect everybody to be doing it like we're doing it. But Greatest Kraus at light heavyweight is a guy that should be on all of your radar. This is a Dutch athlete, dude, who's a boxer, comes from a fight family. His father was a boxer. His father was a kickboxer who still fights. Greatest is this dude is explosive, has power, always in shape. He's mean. He has great hand speed. He's going against a Louisiana sort of journeyman in Sean Hemphill, who has kind of upset the sort of cards before coming to the UK. We've seen him come in as like a plus 300 dog and win before. I think Greatest Kraus is going to run right through him. So I'm waiting for a Greatest Kraus knockout prop to play, but I do have Kraus on my money line parlay. Yeah, I love the knockout. I'm just saying you might not get another chance to go against Ward. He might get destroyed or retire. Mutant, you bring up a good point, big dog. What's up, Groovy? Groovy in the house, Groovy in the house. Guys, this was a great live stream. We have the best community in the world. I mean that. Go to the Discord. We got our tickets up. We got film study up. We got a couple days before the fights. New Zealand is first. New Zealand is Saturday night in Australia. We'll be streaming that in the Discord. If you're not a Patreon, if you're not a YouTube VIP, sign up. It's a couple bucks a month. Get access to our Discord. We just celebrated our year anniversary, and we are on fire. And I thank all of you, 100 of you still here. Thank you, guys. Let's go. Let's get this.